Welcome to Tightline Sport Fishing, PA Plus. We're going to tie a emerald shiner today. We're going to use Gamakatsu B10s stinger, size 6, 3mm silver eyes, mylar piping, and a pearl. Fish skull, size 3 mask, 0.015 lead, Sally Hansen's, UV cure, Vivus gel spun thread, and start with the hook. Make sure it's in there good and tight. Start with a base of thread. This will help with the lead. We're going to be gluing it down with just a touch of super glue. Next, about the halfway point on the shank between the eye and the tip of the hook. Well, I should say the barb of the hook. I'm going to tie my thread, or not my thread, my lead just by the tip on the side, so that when I wrap it around, it will actually pull that thread, that lead up on top, just like that. And those itches. I'll move my thread forward. Now I'm going to wrap this 12 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Push my wraps together nice and tight. Counter spin my thread. That'll make it nice and flat. This Gorilla Glue, waterproof. I'm just going to put a little bit on there just to help lock that down. And lock all that in there good and tight. Now we're just going to do a half hitch. Doesn't have to be nothing fancy. You know, do it over top of the lid, that's fine too, right where that cement is. That way it kind of helps hold everything. And we'll take that off. Next step, we're going to cut roughly 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 inch piece of mylar. And we're going to take the center tube out, get rid of it. Now you just have the outer shell. Pull out your UV cure, and we're going to put a little UV cure inside one end and hit it with the light. That keeps the end from unraveling. So now you want to measure it out roughly to the front of the lead. to the bend of the hook. That's about where I want to be at. I'll take my hook out. I'm going to feed it down through and come out where I had marked it with my fingers. And put it back in the vise. I'll bring the thread back out. I'll tie back in. Slide my mylar tubing just up to the front of the lead. And tie that down good and tight. I'm going to try to keep that mylar up on the top of it. Just like that. Okay. Then we'll come back about to where the end of that lead would be. I'll roll my vise over, and we're going to do the belly. Take some of the white or pearl colored dubbing, line your ends up. This dubbing is roughly 2.5 to 3 inches long. Okay. And we're going to do a V-tie. Get yourself set up to where you can find the middle. Lay it on top of the hook. Well, underneath the hook, but being it's inverted right now, it's top. You have one leg coming down my side of the hook. One leg will go down the other side of the hook. And then we will roll it over. Actually, let's go ahead and do the rest of the belly while we're here. I'll move my thread forward half the distance between the eye and where I just tied in. Another small clump of white. Find the center. And same thing. Tie on top. Down the other side. And lock it in place. Alright, now we'll roll it over. And we want the cotton candy colored, or even the smelt colored magnum dubbing by Latera. And this will get tied in on the side of the hook with a 50-50 tie, 50% on this side and 50% down the other side. Alright, now for the olive. I'm going to do this in probably 2 patches. I'm going to do the first one, enough to cover the tubing, the mylar. Tie it directly on top. Lightly fan it out, draw it back, tie it down. Again, same thing. A little bit of dubbing. 1/3 of it on top, or 1/3 going back, 2/3 forward. And again, you want to cover just a little bit down each side and then over the back. Alright, there is your basic fly shape right there. Now the mask will go on, but first what I want to do is I want to take a little bit of dubbing, a couple strands of the white. And I'm going to dub my thread. I'm going to make a little ball of white. Dubbing. That'll give the mask something to attach to when you do the glue. Okay, so now at this point we will take our half hitch tool, two half hitches, cut our thread off. Now again, I'm using Gorilla Glue, just my choice. Any waterproof glue will work fine. I keep these little sticky notes here handy. Put a sticky note down, put a little glue on it. Let's see here, bobbin. We're going to put a nice little coat of super glue over top of the little ball of dubbing. That we made on the head. Now you gotta check your mask. It does have an orientation to it, so that when you put it on, I don't know if you can really see that or not, but when you put it on something, you'll see a high side and a low side. That's the low side up. That's the high side up. The high side will be the top of the head. And I'll push that on there good and tight. And don't worry if you get a little, ow, sharp hook. Don't worry if you get a little glue all over the place. It's going to happen. Alright. Make sure your eye is cleaned out. Don't need that super glue in there messing things up. Okay, I'm going to take a little thread again. And we're going to build a little dam just to help lock that mask on. Okay. There's pretty much the finished fly for the most part. Make sure your skull's on there nice and straight. Ugh, my seat is very uncomfortable. Alright. You check your eyes sometimes. They got excess casting plastic that'll be in your way. You just take a razor blade and clean it off. And go back to the bobkin and a little bit of that super glue. Put a drop of super glue in the eye. Roll it over. Another drop into that eye. Go ahead and get our eyes put in. Depending on the eyes you use, make sure that you have the pupil set in the right direction if you have directional eyes. These are not. These are just a solid dot in the middle, directly in the middle of the eye, so I ain't got to worry about orientation of it. Alright, so that's got the eyes in. Next we'll be moving on to the loon again. We're going to start with one eye. This is a thin, loon's thin. We're going over top and around the edges of the eye. That'll keep any water or teeth from getting between the plastic at the eye and pulling it off. Plus it gives a little bubbling effect over top of the eye that makes it 3D looking. Same thing on this side. Just be careful you don't get no air bubbles in it while you're putting it on. I'm going to go through back and double check our eye, make sure we didn't get no UV or any more glue ran down into it. Alright, now we're going to take and right around where the mask and the fibers come together, we're going to put a little bit of UV. It just kind of helps keep a little bulk to the head so it doesn't lay completely flat. And it also, just one more little security to help hold that mask. Same thing on the bottom. Just make a nice transition between the material and the mask. Let's get her all cured up nice and good. And then we'll take a little Sally Hansen, hard as nails, top it off with that, just to make sure we have a good, strong, durable Oh, there, baby mosquito. Cover the that resin. Now all she needs is a good brushing. Give her a little brushing there. There you go. That is the Emerald Shiner, size 6, roughly 2 inches in length. If you have any questions, feel free to message, email at tightlinesportfishing.com, or sorry, tightlinesportfishing@gmail.com. All right, thank you.